Hi, I'm Rick Anthony, and welcome to the Someone You Should Know podcast, the podcast that focuses on musicians, authors, and interesting people. We like to say we're making a difference one artist at a time. So sit back, have a cold one, and get ready to meet someone you should know. On the podcast today, a Grammy-nominated and award-winning songwriter, producer, and 2022 Nashville Songwriter Hall of Fame inductee. Yeah, brand new album out called Mirror. And we're going to feature some great music from that. Would you please welcome my new friend, the amazing David Malloy. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Rick, and thank you so much for having me on your show. I've been waiting for this, and I just can't wait to talk about the music and have some exchange with you about it.
Absolutely. The music's fabulous. He gave me this album, and I've listened to it. It's like we picked 3 songs. It's like you could pick any of the songs on the album to feature because they are all that good. And I think it's things. Your journey in the music industry has been incredibly diverse, from writing and producing for legendary artists, and now stepping into the spotlight yourself to be a solo artist.
The last thing I ever thought I was going to do, honestly, Rick.
I got to ask you, what inspired this?
Never going to be. Being an artist was really never in my mind. You know, I'm a second generation. Sorry about the bell there. I'm a second generation of the industry. My father was very, very successful in it, and when I was young. We had Roy Orbison and Mickey Newberry and different people that were my dad's friends who'd come over to us and they'd play and sing and they were just amazing. And I thought, my God, I could never be that amazing or that kind of a personality. So being an artist had never really crossed my mind until a couple of years ago.
That's amazing. What was your why for getting in the music industry? Was it because of Dad or what?
When I was 15 years old, my dad and Chet Atkins drove downtown to Gruen Guitar, and Chet picked out my first guitar. And I still have it. It's a little bitty Giannini gut string guitar, and he got a little gut string because he thought it wouldn't hurt my fingers so bad, so I wouldn't quit.
Smart man. Yeah, that's the one thing as far as until you get those calluses built up, it's like, I got blisters on my fingers.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
It's amazing. How does it feel to share your own voices and experiences through your music now? Isn't it kind of weird to be on this side of the glass rather than the other side of the glass?
Totally weird. I didn't know how I was going to react. I didn't know how I would sound, because up until this point, Rick, I never had done a note of music on myself. So this is a completely new thing. It wasn't like, in the background I was secretly making records or anything. I wasn't. It was just always about working with other artists and what I could do to help launch their career or help take their existing career up to the next level.
That's exactly what this show is all about, too, and it's kind of strange. I really and truly am very happy with the project here. It's called Mirrors, the name of the album. Deeply introspective album. It reflects your life's joys and pains and lessons. And what was the songwriting process like? Did these songs just come out of nowhere, or did you actually find a time to write, or did you find inspiration from various little things? Or
just before COVID was out at the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, which was a cool thing to go to, and my stepbrother was living out there, and his girlfriend at the time was a very successful medium. And she wanted to do a reading on me. I just had lost my father a few months before, and she wanted to do this reading. And I've never done that because I've never wanted somebody's words in my head and then me starting to try to maybe make that happen when maybe that really wasn't my destiny, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so I finally caved, and I said, okay, we'll do this reading. And so she did it, and she said, your father really wants to do this reading with you. And so we're talking, and the next thing I know, she says, well, your son wants to talk to you. And I said, okay, because I'd lost my son now 18 years ago, and she said, well, your son wants to know why you're not writing songs anymore. How come you're not writing songs? And I didn't really have an answer. And she said, well, he wants you to know that if you'll start writing songs again, he wants to help you write songs because he always wanted to be a songwriter.
Oh, my Lord.
So I forgot about it, Rick. It was before COVID. Then COVID came, turned all our worlds upside down, so I'm now living on a golf course outside of Nashville, and Luke Bryan is a member of this golf course. And I don't really know him, and I was talking to my wife, and I said, Luke Bryan's out here, and I might meet him, and who knows, maybe we could write a song, something might happen. I said, I don't know much about him, I kind of know his music. And she said, well, I think there's a documentary on Rick, on Luke, there's a documentary. And I said, well, I'm going to watch the documentary. And in watching the documentary, I didn't realize that he had lost his brother and his sister like a couple of years apart, and they were all very tight. And he was talking about his pain and the journey through that. And Rick, I found some final closure with the loss of my son. And I started writing. I carry my son's wallet. I've had it for 18 years. Every day when I leave this house, it's in my right front pocket, and it's the opening line of the song Mason's Wallet that you're going to play later. So I started writing this song. I felt like Mason was helping me write it. I remember one example. We had a little farm, during COVID. I think we were all trying to scatter and hide, so we had this little farm, and I remember out walking in the field, and there was a line that I couldn't get, and all of a sudden this line came to me in the bridge, and I just, tears started rolling down my face, because I knew it was like a gift from my son was this line. So I felt like we were writing this together, and I actually listed him as my co-writer on this song. And then that song kind of opened the floodgates, and I started writing another one and another one and another one, And up until this point, I'd always been a co-writer. So this is another thing, me writing all these songs by myself. And so, yeah, I felt extremely vulnerable through this whole process, and still do, because I feel like, even though I'm out there and I'm on social media and stuff, I always try to keep my personal life really personal to me. But now I really had opened myself up and really kind of, shared my own personal experiences.
I know the heavens are up there, and
yes,
they're directing our paths, and it's just amazing. Here I am. I'm retired from radio, and I'm doing this show basically to help everybody out and share great music like this. The album is called Mirror. The very first song that we're going to feature was the one that came out in January. It's a nod to the Rolling Stones, a great song. The Rolling Stones had Gimme Shelter. This is your homage to it, called I Play Gimme Shelter. What is your take on this iconic song and your inspiration for doing I Play Gimme Shelter?
Well, the Stones have made a lot of records that I really love, and my two favorites are Sympathy for the Devil and Gimme Shelter. And I just, if I'm in the car and one of those two come on, I'm turning up the radio. I'm turning up the thing and I'm playing it loud, and they just really make me feel good. And I just came up with that idea about kind of my way of giving, my ode to them in a way without. How do you write something fresh about the Stones? I wasn't trying to, if you listen to the lyrics, it's really not about the Stones other than me picking up the guitar saying I play Gimme Shelter, But I did, in the production, try to cop everything the Stones had ever done on a record, from Keith Richards' guitar in the intro to the shakers that Mick would play to the hoo-hoo, and all that. So I tried to grab all the hooks that I could. And still write an original song. So that was kind of my tribute to the Stones.
And since the Stones are touring, maybe they might have you open. Hey, that'd be an idea.
Right, yeah. I just heard, one of my dear friends is Buck Williams, who's the manager of Widespread Panic, and I heard they just announced that Widespread Panic's going to open up for him in Colorado.
Oh, so, very cool, very cool. Yeah. I truly hope that Mick gets a chance to hear this song. We're going to play it right now. Mick, tune your ears on. Get your ears on right here. We're going to play I Play Gimme Shelter from David Malloy, today's podcast.
Fingers crossed, Mick. Come on.
The night I feel my age not in my heart. Look in the mirror, I look the part. Sometimes I start feeling down and my world turns helter-skelter. I feel up my guitar and play Gimme Shelter. I play Gimme Shelter. I'm mostly kind, I cheer for others. I hope your life is filled with wonder. I try to live that golden rule, but I'm running out of polish and I don't know what to do. Sometimes I start feeling down and my world turns helter-skelter. I pick up my guitar and play Gimme Shelter. I play Gimme Shelter. Hey, hey. Sometimes I start feeling down and my world turns helter-skelter. I pick up my guitar. Sometimes I'm feeling down and my world turns helter-skelter. I pick up my guitar and play Gimme Shelter. Yeah, I play Gimme Shelter. Play Gimme Shelter. Gimme Shelter. Hey, hey.
Giving a little nod to the Rolling Stones right there. I play Gimme Shelter from David Malloy. David is today's podcast guest. More great music from his album Mirror coming up in a few. But first, I want to say thank you so much for tuning into the Someone You Should Know podcast. On the World Wide Web at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast.com. If you go there, you'll find our recent news, our archive of more than 170 episodes, and a whole lot more. Give us a visit. We really do appreciate that. Now, according to Buzzsprout, the service that shares us to all the streaming platforms, so very blessed to reach more than 2,300 cities in 90 countries around the world. We want to salute a couple of new ones. Berlin, Maryland, West Covina, California, the Bronx in New York, and also Westmont, Quebec, Canada. The Someone You Should Know podcast heard wherever quality streaming audio is available. Thanks for listening. We're speaking with David Malloy. Got a brand new album out called Mirror. We're featuring some music from that. Now, David is well known as a music producer and songwriter. Can you tell us how this album was produced and recorded? Did you give up your title as producer and let someone else do it, or did you still have your hand in there?
Yeah, no. Well, I did ended up co-producing. It wasn't my first initial thought. I was walking. My wife and I lived downtown next to in Nashville, Tennessee, next to a little area called Printer's Alley, and they've got some bars there. And so we were walking through the alley one evening, and I heard this incredible guitar player and this music coming through. And, I'm a musical snob like most of us in the music business are. And I thought it was so good. My wife said, why don't we walk in there, So I walk in there, and here's this young guy named Paul Childers, and who's actually Tyler's cousin. And he's up on stage with just bass and drums doing three-piece, and just completely blew me away. And we talked and kind of struck up a friendship. And so this also was before COVID. And so when I got into this time of writing the songs and I realized that I needed to record this music, he was the first person who came to mind. I wanted Paul to produce this. So that's what I did. And, of course, then when we got in the studio to start making this record, it was impossible for me to keep my mouth shut, so we really ended up doing it together, and it really was the right way. And I cannot say enough great things about what an incredible talent he is and how sensitive he was to me, because I felt, Rick, I've never felt so vulnerable because I never had really put myself out there like this. These were people, as you get older, if you've had some success in your industry, some good success, people start saying, you got to write a book, and I thought, well, I'm never going to write a book, and there's some stories you're just not going to tell. And, so I thought, well, I'm not going to write a book, but I'm going to write an album. And instead of, I don't own a pickup truck and I don't really drink beer. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but so I didn't really write about pickup trucks and beer. I just wrote about what I knew, which was myself. So I wasn't trying to be a chameleon and become the artist I was working with. I was just trying to put my personal self out there in my songs, and I said it started with Mason's Wallet, and then one song led to another, and the next thing I know, I've got 16 songs. And I thought, oh my God, first it started off, I thought, well, I'll do an EP, it'd just be 6, 6 would be enough. And then it turned into 8, and then 10, and kept going. And I couldn't stop writing. So at the end of the day, I nixed 2 of them, and it was down to 14. So there's 14 songs on there. And so my wife, I didn't really sing much around the house. So I've been married 19 years, and she wasn't even quite sure what I really sounded like. I never was really out there trying to be an artist or anything. So it was kind of a self-discovery, not only for me, but for my wife and for my closest friends who have all kind of been a little bit awestruck by this whole process that I've gone through with this. And so this is kind of my book, Rick, really,
It's funny you say the book, and the fact that when Leslie and I got together 5-6 years ago, I was telling her the stories of all the people that I've introduced. I've been so very lucky. I was with the All-Star Radio Network for 19 years, and I was the guy that got to interview all the celebrities, and I have all of their interviews on DAT tape or a mini disc or something like that. Yeah. So I've got all these things, and because we'd be watching TV, or I talk to him, I talk to her, I know that, and it's like, you need to write a book. I said, no, honey, I can't write a book. And she says, well, you need to do a podcast. And I said, that I can do because I can talk. And when I first got the podcast going, I was interviewing people that I talked to originally 22 years ago. And it was just wonderful to catch up with these people and do these kind of things. And this is my book, and that is your book.
Exactly. And so I'm like you, and I can tell the joy, in your voice and watching you about how much you are loving this.
Absolutely.
And it's the same way I'm feeling. I'm just this is just the greatest time of my life. I'm loving this,
Absolutely. This was originally a nicotine patch to keep me from asking to go back on the radio again. And so I'm simply loving this. And
congratulations.
We're going to feature another thing from your book, the album Mirror, a great song called A Brand New Day, which carries themes of like second chances, embracing positivity. Let's tell me a little bit more about this song.
Okay, well, I've got a black German Shepherd, and who's actually she's in the video that I've got of A Brand New Day, and it was like a little after 6 in the morning. I was taking her outside for her to do her business, and I look over towards the east, and there I can see it's the beginnings of what's going to be a beautiful sunrise. The whole sky was kind of orange, and I looked over toward the west, and there was the moon, and I just was standing there, and I went, good morning sunshine, and I looked over and I went, good night moon. And I went, wow, and I went in the house and I picked up my guitar and I started writing, and those were the first 2 lines.
It's amazing where it comes from. Your son is involved here. He's sending these little vibes down from heaven.
Absolutely. In fact, I got chill bumps right now. You just saying that because I know it's true. I just know.
It is absolutely true.
I feel like he's living right now.
I'm channeling him right now too. Mason, thank you so much for being with your dad on this podcast. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to feature this song right now, A Brand New Day. Great song right now from David and Malloy right now on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
Sunshine, good night moon, good morning sweet love, good morning to you, good morning friends, good morning life, what a beautiful sight, it's a brand new day, one more time to say it's a brand new day. Good morning, angels. Good morning, gods. Good morning, fighters against all odds. Good morning, winners. Good morning, seekers. Turn up the speakers. It's a brand new day. Hey, hey, one more chance to say it's a brand new day. Good morning, givers. Good morning, takers. Good morning, dreamers and cold heartbreakers. Good morning, spirit. Good morning, soul. Good morning to the one who's always in control. It's a brand new day. Hey, hey, waking up to say it's a brand new day. It's a brand new day. Hey, hey, one more time to say it's a brand new day. Good morning, sunshine. Good night, moon.
Great vibe on that one. Brand new day from today's Someone You Should Know podcast. Guest David Malloy. It's from the album called Mirror. We got one more song from that coming up in a couple of minutes, but this next feature is something that we love to do. It is called Tales from the Road. But since David is a guy that's been in the studio for so long and hasn't really been on the road, we're going to alter it and call it Tales from the Studio. And the lovely Lindy, who has been so lovely in this whole thing and organizing all this, has sent me a little information that involves a story in Las Vegas with you and the legend Eddie Rabbitt. Can you share that story with us, please?
Yes, I'm out. I went out to, as a writer producer, you're really not on the road very much. You're pretty much just kind of locked away in a room with no windows. It's kind of what you do. But Eddie was headlining. I think it was MGM Grand. Maybe Eddie was headlining, and so I wanted to go out and see his show and hang out with him a little bit. And while I was out there, his attorney and his business manager that he'd been with for several years came out too. And so Eddie decided that he wanted to have a big powwow meeting with them, and he wanted me sitting in the room with him. And so this is I think it was about 2 a.m. And of course, some of us are more wide awake than others back in the early 80s. And so we're sitting there and we're getting ready to have this meeting. And Eddie says, that term rich and famous, he says, we've got the famous part down. Now I want to work on that rich part. Okay. And immediately I see the big gulp with the business manager and the attorney, so off we went. But that was one of the stories with Eddie. The other one was, which is very interesting, was Eddie was, we'd get together about 6 months before we'd make a record, and we would start writing. We didn't have anything. So Eddie Rabbitt and even Stevens and I, we'd start writing songs for what was going to be the record. But during that time, Eddie would not do any camera work, anything like that where anybody could see him. And so he would kind of like show up in sweatpants and just kind of not worry about what he looked like, and he'd kind of joke as the weeks would get closer to the time that he'd have to go out, he'd refer to the fact that he'd have to become Slim, Trim, and him. And drop his weight and get ready. In fact, he was so private and so secret, he felt that his secret was that he needed those months of complete privacy to generate those songs that we would get together. So even during those months, his management wasn't even allowed to talk to him. They had to talk to him through me. So they would call me every day, and I would have to ask him questions. Oh. He'd answer questions, and I would call the management and give them the answers. Yes.
Wonderful. You can imagine that. You just see, I saw Eddie Rabbitt at a Walmart this morning. He was in the produce aisle. I think he was picking out some grapes.
He was, he always wanted to become famous, and then when he became famous, he didn't like being famous because he had lost his privacy.
Yeah, that's just it. That is one of the things that I've talked to so many people as far as it's really hard to leave your hotel and just walk out and grab yourself a cup of coffee or something like that. So many people are just when they wind up getting to town, the fame they actually have to hide from it, you know.
Yeah. Some are comfortable. You know, Dolly Parton loved it. Reba McEntire, Kenny Rogers. Some of them absolutely totally embraced it and absolutely loved it that I've worked with. And then some of them just wanted to hide.
Who was the most fun to work with, David?
Well, Dolly was incredible to work with. What can I say? And Reba too. In fact, if you take Dolly and Reba and you see them on TV, and you see them perform, that's exactly who they are. That's not a character that they become. They are that. Mm-hmm. They are that. So they were a joy to work with.
And everything Dolly's doing nowadays is just absolutely flourishing.
Oh, it's incredible.
It's just an absolute blessing to this world. And
absolutely.
Her music, I mean, she was almost embarrassed to be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. For her accomplishments, she deserves to be in every Hall of Fame, as far as I'm
absolutely. Concerned. And don't you love the fact she says, well, okay, I need to make a rock and roll record.
There you go. Absolutely.
No, that's so Dolly. It's just perfect.
Well, it's like Beyonce doing a country album. That ain't going to work. But Dolly doing a rock album, I'll buy that one.
For a few years, my dad was married to Stella Parton, her sister.
Get out of here, really?
Yeah, for real, man, yeah.
Oh, my Lord, these stories. These are the kind of stories you like to sit down with someone over a bottle of wine or something like that and just tell stories. I've been blessed to talk to so many people through the years that it just, the stories that are in here that kind of seep out from time to time. It's I try to do it without dropping too many names and such as far as that goes. I don't sound like an arrogant prick, but I try to do my very best to just have fun with the people I'm talking to.
Rick, that's our life. I mean, that's our life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's who we are, and God, we've had a wonderful ride, haven't we?
Yeah. Oh, have we ever?
Absolutely.
And we're still riding.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank
you and I are riding together right now.
We're on Social Security, but damn it, we're riding. Let's talk about your socials. Where can people find out more information about this album? And I know you got to be on YouTube because I know you got some videos here. We're going to include those down in the show notes. So
okay,
all the socials you're on, we're going to include those down in the show notes. So if anyone's driving right now, don't get in an accident. Just wait till you get to work, and then you can go ahead and check out where you can find out more.
Yeah, if you check on YouTube, if you check out David Malloy Music, that you'll find my channel. I've also got DavidMalloyMusic.com.
Okay,
got my website there. On Facebook, I'm just David Malloy. Mm-hmm. And on Instagram, I'm Malloy's Noise.
Love it. I love it. Absolutely love that. I love it. Absolutely. All right. Now, the final track we're going to feature is the one we've been talking about throughout the show. Very poignant tribute to your son called Mason's Wallet. Can you tell us the process once again? How old was Mason when we lost him?
Mason was 23.
23.
Well, he was 23 years old when I lost him, and he was out living out in Los Angeles in Beverly Hills. Not that he could afford to be in Beverly Hills, but he was out in Beverly Hills. And his sister was out there. My daughter, she was a few years older than him. And so I had gotten a call that I had lost him out there. And so I flew out there and I picked up his belongings. And one of the things was this wallet that I carry in my pocket to this day. And the lyrics in the song are just exactly what it is, Rick,
Absolutely beautiful song, too. We're going to close the show with that, and I want to say this has been an absolute delight to talk to you, David, how you're able to create such great music from your struggles in life, through the glorious moments of your life to the deepest, darkest moments of your life, to create something as beautiful as this album. I really and truly salute you, sir, and I hope people go out and buy a couple 100,000 copies of this thing.
Me too, Rick, and thank you. And I know you probably felt this similar kind of thing, but after losing my son, the one few words that came into my head immediately is life is for living. And so I've tried to live as big and as strong as I possibly can since his loss, and part of that is just kind of my tribute and honoring him to continue living and try to and hope that this song brings healing and help to people who who have lost a child or lost somebody really close to them. There's no greater pain than that, and hopefully it can help.
Absolutely. Great song. We're going to wrap it up the show. Mason's Wallet from today's guest, David Malloy. David, absolute treat. God bless you. I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, Rick. It's been a pleasure.
I put Mason's wallet in my right front pocket 18 years ago. It's genuine buffalo hide, guaranteed to last a lifetime, so I trust it with the memories it holds. Healing time moves so slow. I got Mason's wallet on the day I lost him 18 years ago. And I've asked God 1,000 times, why'd you have to take him in his prime? I guess he needed his best angels, I suppose. Healing time moves so slow. Sometimes we meet in dreams and I see heaven on earth through angels' wings. And with his smile, he lets me know why God makes healing time move so slow. Put Mason's wallet in my right front pocket 18 years ago. Now it's got some wear and tear, kinda like my soul, but we're both still here. And those memories of me will never let go. Healing time moves so slow. I thank God healing time moves so slow.
Hi, this is Rick Anthony, thanking you again for listening to this episode of Someone You Should Know. Now, if you're an aspiring musician or an established musician that's looking for a little exposure, I invite you to drop us a line at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. That's someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. Also, I invite you to tell a friend about the Someone You Should Know podcast. I thank you for tuning in this time, and I invite you to check us out next time on the Someone You Should Know podcast, because you never know who's going to show up. Until next time, remember, God loves you, and so do I.